Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're having a good day and thank you for being here. I'd like to say thank you to all my new subscribers, to everyone who watches, to all the people that have left lovely comments and feedback. Greatly appreciated. And I thank you for being here and helping me to grow my channel and just sharing some insights. It's really very much appreciated. Now today, I'm going to do something that I said I would in a previous video. Now I have this wonderful jar of little scraps. I in fact have 3 of these jars. And what I do is when I'm doing a project, if I've got little pieces, usually a lot smaller than this, I put them into this jar. So you can see that I've just got a conglomeration of little bits and pieces in here. Now by themselves they're not very spectacular, but I keep them all because I either want to make a project out of them, use the fabrics up somehow. If they're large enough like these, I would normally sew them together. But today I'm going to show you something different I'm going to do with them. So I'm just having a quick look. Now what I've done is I've gone through that jar and I've taken out a whole range of pieces and I've colour coordinated them. I decided today we're going to do a bit of colour coordination. My pinks, my greens, my purples and some blues. These seem to be the main colours that I use when I create. Pink is a new range for me. I only really started using a lot of pink lately because I've been making quilts and I was given some pink, so I've been making some pink quilts. So what I did was I organised them into these colours. So what am I going to do with them next? I'm just going to show you, I got this tiny little hoop. Now this little hoop is very small, but I just wanted to show you the process. So this hoop is 10 centimetres across, and as I'm not an inch person, I'll just get just about 4 inches across. So I'm going to place the hoop, I'm not going to do it that way, I'm going to place the larger section on the bottom. I'm going to place this section like this so I can get the hoop in there. I need to undo it a little bit. And before I do that, I'm actually going to put a piece of cardboard underneath this and you'll understand why as I proceed. So I'm just going to put that little piece of cardboard under there. Just checking I'm in camera because that's something I don't do that somebody mentioned to me the other day that I was out of frame. Sorry, there's my shirt in frame. Okay, so I'm going to put it this way so when I press it down it'll look like that. I don't normally use frames, but I'm going to give this a go. So this piece of fabric is an old piece of clothing which I've just reclaimed, and I'm going to work within that space. So I need to push that down a little bit and just leave that other piece here. So I'm going to work, I've got a pink background or a lilac-y background, so I'm going to work with the purples. Now, I'm going to use a product today, which you probably are all familiar with, which is called Wash Away. And it's this plasticky product that you can sew over, and then when you put it into water, it dissolves. So let's see, I'll show you what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take some of these little scraps, and I'm actually going to place them inside this circular piece. So some of these are very small. This is a little bit tedious. I mean, you could just dump them all in, but I'm not going to do that. And by that I mean you could just sort of go like this and place them all down and not worry about it too much. But I don't want all those layers. I'm sorry, that's a bit too much for me. I need to have a bit more control over it than that. So I'm going to lay them down. I am still going to overlap them, but I am going to lay them down. So I'm going to try and get a combination of colours, these purpley colours in here. Now this is pretty quick because it's only a very small amount of scraps and a very small hoop. So I'll try and get as many different things happening in that hoop as possible. That little piece needs to be ironed down. Okay, we're nearly finished because this is so small. Okay, so I've got all those little bits inside the hoop. And as you can see, they're going everywhere because there's nothing to actually stabilize them. Now this piece, I'm just going to cut it. It's not a tiny little piece, but I'm just going to cut it because I just want something a bit darker. Now, I've overlapped the pieces a little bit. Now I'm going to take a piece of this wash away, and I'm going to just get enough so that it sits when I put the hoop on. It's actually going to sit there. So, okay, let's see if I've cut it big enough. If I haven't, I'll use it for another project. Sorry, I need to put my scissors on the table. Might just add another piece or two. That bit's a bit too big. Okay, so I'm just going to put this little bit there, and very, very carefully now, I'm going to apply the other hoop. Alright, so that's very tight, and I'm going to pull it as tight as I possibly can. And then I'm going to tighten up the hoop as tight as I can get it, because I don't want any movement. That's probably tight enough. Okay, it's not real tight, but I think it's tight enough. Now, what I'm going to do next, I will take you over the sewing machine, is I'm going to get out my darning foot on my sewing machine, and I'm going to get some purple thread, and I'm going to do some free machining all over this. So when I complete it, it will be all stitched, and I'll have a piece of fabric made from all these little tiny scraps, and it should be quite colourful. Now let me show you another one that I completed and we'll be working on as well. So this one is a much larger hoop, of course, and I'm going to, I'll show you how big that hoop is. That hoop is actually just over 9 inches, so it's about 24 inch hoop. So again, I sat there very methodically with this one and placed them from the outside in. And what I'm going to do again is I'm going to take a little piece of this, or a large piece of this. Try not to waste too much. It wasn't very expensive. I actually can't remember how much it was, to tell you the truth. But I try not to waste it if I can. Sorry if I'm up screen, I'm just cutting this so that I can place it here. Again, there are other ways to do this, but for now, I'm just going to do it this way and see if I like this process. And if I don't like this process, I will come up with another way to do it that I like better. Actually, I've already had some thoughts about using this fabric. So, okay, so this little bit will be useful because you can actually just fold it over like that and put it on top and use it. So that should be fine. So now I need the other part of this hoop. My desk is a bit of a disaster at the moment, so I can't really show you that because it is a bit of a disaster. Okay, I don't think I've got the hoop open enough, and I don't want to slide it around too much because I will mess this up. So just open up the hoop a little bit more, reposition the wash away. Now again, this is just a bit of an experiment. I mean, I have done something like this before, but I didn't use the hoop. I just used the wash away, and I'm just seeing if the hoop makes it a little bit easier. So I'm pulling out this as tightly as I can, being careful not to rip the wash away, but still to get it fairly tight. I hope it works because I really like the greens. I like the variations in the colour. I really like that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if it works, or it was just an experiment that needs a bit more thought. So I'm just going to really tighten this up as tight as I can get it. I think that's tight enough. It doesn't have to be, crazy tight. So I've got two that I can experiment on now. I've got this little lilac purple one and this green one. Now this green fabric that I've used here, this is a light drill fabric. Now I could use it in quilting, but I just am trying to use up what I have. I was very inspired yesterday to continue using what I've got and making the best of it by a video I watched of a quilter that basically just uses scrap fabrics and throw-out fabrics and old clothes, mostly old clothes and reclaimed pieces. So I thought, it's a time for me to go and make these. So I'm going to go set up at my sewing machine. I'll take you over there and just show you the free machining. So Now I've started on the smaller one. I just want to give you an idea. I've placed the hoop. I took the original straight stitch foot off and I placed the hoop underneath the needle. Then I added my darning foot. Now trying to keep the wash away out of the screen there. So I'm basically just doing little circular motions here to try and cover as much as possible. I've reduced the stitch level right down low, and of course I've done all the other things that you need to do for your to do this free motion machining, like the feed dogs are down, etc. So make sure you follow the instructions for your machine and for the use of your darning foot with your machine. Very important. So I've done most of it. This one didn't take very long because it's very, very small. Sorry about the lighting. It kept changing, but I hope you get a bit of an idea of how it's done. Now you can only get so close to the edge when you do this, but that's okay. So I just wanted to have a go and see if this actually works. It's very easy with the hoop because you can slide it around quite easily. It's firm, it doesn't pucker or buckle, or you don't, it's very easy to do with hoop. So you can only do a certain amount, of course, because you can only work within the parameters of that hoop. So that's finished. Let's move on to the green one. You can see that there's a lot of stitching, different directions, and it's held it down quite well. Now, I've started on the green one. The green one's going to take quite a while to do, so I'm not going to do the whole panel. And you can see that I've started and stopped. I had some issues with the lighting. You can see I'm trying to get the lighting right there for you. So I'm doing this one-handed as I'm actually holding my little light in the other hand because it was so dark I couldn't see anything, and I didn't think you'd actually get to see anything. So again, I'm just doing these little circular motions here, moving it around, and it would be better if I was using two hands to do this, but as I said, the lighting was so bad I didn't think you'd be able to actually see anything. So I'm just holding a little portable light here. I'm just going over sections, trying to get all the sections completed. This is something that I haven't done for a while, and I had actually got very good at it, but it's been a very long time since I've done any of this free machining. It's something I need to start redoing and getting back into the practice of doing. I think I need to change the tension a little bit the next time I do it and work on the stitch size, etc. But for now, I just wanted to show you the process, and it is a bit of an experiment, so things are going to go wrong. That's just what happens when you do this kind of thing. Now this is the little one. You can see there's lots of stitching, and of course you're limited to the edge here how far you can go out. A few threads there, lots and lots of stitching, perhaps a little too much stitching on this one. I'll chop that thread off later, and I'll cut that one off as well. But definitely putting in the hoop makes it stay very flat. It's easy to work on. The smaller size is easy to work on and very quick. Now with the larger one, you use a lot of thread, and you can see here I've missed a piece, so I think it'll still hold down. There were far too many threads here. I think I got a little bit did a bit too much work maybe on it, but that's a lesson to be learnt. Now the other thing that you'll see in a moment was that I should have cut the green fabric off, the excess, and what I've ended up doing is actually sewing it under into 3 levels. So like all of my videos, I'm going to show you the mistakes. So this is something to be aware of, that you don't leave huge amount of hangover of fabric, because it can potentially get caught under there. I was concentrating on lighting, showing you the process, and not concentrating on having the hoop and making sure the excess fabric wasn't getting caught underneath. So the easiest solution would be not to have so much overhanging fabric, and that's just a lesson. It doesn't make any difference on the front. It just means that I've got 3 layers there instead of 1, which doesn't really work, but it doesn't matter that much actually. Just a bit of a waste of fabric there. So I think maybe less stitching, but the hoop is definitely the easiest way to do it. It sits really flat. It's really easy to do. As you saw as I was holding my light, I was basically doing this with one hand. So it is quite easy to do. Now I should have, as I said previously, probably cut this out into the circle to begin with. But again, something that's been learnt from doing this process. It has a nice feel to it, however. There is a lot of stitching, and it is difficult for you to see because of the light on it, but I will show you once I've washed it. This was very quick and very easy, and there's quite a lot of potential in this as well. Now I would imagine that the little bits of, so you can only get to that edge there, and there are little bits that you can see there that won't be sewn on at the end. So I'm quite happy with it so far. Well, let's see what happens when I actually wash it. So I've taken it away, washed it in some warm water, and I've also rinsed it a number of times. So this is what you get in the end. Now, it's quite nice. Maybe a darker thread would have been better. You can see here that at the edges of the hoop, because you can't get the darning footing close, you get that little ruffle, so you wouldn't be able to use it because they're not actually sewn down. So I'm not sure how I'm going to use these or what I'm going to do with them, but I'll come up with something. So thank you for joining me here today, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like and subscribe button. It's free. and I hope to see you next time, perhaps using this material in a new project. Thanks for being here. Hope to see you next time. Bye for now, everyone.